Now you have defined your future business model. You may have tested it in the market and improved it based on the feedback you received. You have described the gaps between the current situation and the desired future business model. Now, we come to a more specific part of the business planning. Here you set objectives for your company. Traditional board meetings often consist of comparing the achieved financial results with the budget made at the start of the year. Some even compare them with the results from the previous year. While this probably makes sense for a stable company that was being around for years, it adds little value to innovative startups. These companies are characterized by constant uncertainty and change. They are living in an experiment of continuous trial and error. So, our recommendation is to abolish the budget and stop comparing with the previous year. We suggest you make a best estimate for your plan period instead. This estimate combines the results that you achieved for the months behind you with your best guess for the months ahead of you. This will ensure that you always have a forecast of the most probable results for the planned period. Our 3 recommendations for managing your objectives are: use a relatively short plan period. Don't make objectives for more than a few months at a time. Use a rolling forecast at the end of each month. Add a new month at the end of the plan period. This way, you will always have targets for the next 3 to 6 months. Use the principle of best estimate. Enter the achieved results as early as possible and edit the estimate for the coming months as soon as you have new information suggesting the current one is improbable. Most companies unfortunately limit themselves to setting financial objectives. The problem with this is that the financial results usually are only a consequence of how good a job you did with your recruitment, training, product development, marketing, and sales. This DuPont model illustrates this well. This model has 13 examples of objectives. It is only possible to directly influence the first 5. Skilled employees and good organization creates both a good product and a professional sales force. A combination of the two generates satisfied customers. This, in turn, results in increased turnover, returns and profit, and everybody's happy. All of this has a starting point in the individual employee. Take a moment to think about your company's management and board meetings. How often do you discuss the purple objectives that can be controlled? How much time is spent following up that blue objective that can only be measured? While these are important, they are only consequences of the previous points. As with the rest of the planning process, the entire organization must contribute to formulating the objectives. You are more motivated to achieve objectives when you have helped create them. Set your objectives within the chosen time period and mark the objectives you achieved. If you see that the objective is unrealistically high, you have to take the consequences and reduce it. And on the other hand, if you see that you will reach the objective easily, you should set a new goal and more ambitious targets. We operate with 3 main types of objectives. The first is milestones. A milestone should be achieved at a specific date. Perhaps you will hire a new marketing manager in June or arrange a user forum in August. The next is numerical objectives. For example, you will sell 18 cars each month or have 400 likes on Facebook by December. And finally, we have monetary objectives. Example of monetary objectives can be that you have a one-off revenue of $1 million in Q1, that subscription revenues for your app increases with $3,000 each month, or that we get $500,000 in new equity, for example. It is always helpful to express objectives in monetary terms. Then it is easy to base the financial forecast directly on the objectives. The most fundamental component in value creation is competence. You can decide to hire a person with a certain competence within a specific date. In the same way, you should define objectives for how you will develop competence among your existing workforce. Even if the 3 Powerboard employees feel that they have a very strong organization, they all agree that they need someone with a specific sales competence. They hope to hire this salesperson by September. Based on the organization's competence, structures, and routines, you can develop your products or services. You must be very precise about which features will be included and how the product is to be packaged, presented, documented, and delivered. John will finish 15 copies of test version 1 in September, 15 copies of test version 2 in October, and 30 in November. The ultimate sales objective is, of course, how many sales you anticipate to make. Christy thinks she can make CNET commit to renting the first 15 boards for $1,000 a month in September. If this initial deployment is successful for CNET, they have indicated that they will sign monthly subscriptions of $1,000 in October and $2,000 in November. The cost of goods sold for these boards will be approximately 30%. Finally, Mark plans to get $150,000 in new equity from a business angel in September. Mark immediately moves on to entering the real figures for September. The $10,000 consulting fee from loaded boards came in as predicted, and the new salesman was hired as planned. The production of the test version went a little better than expected. 20 boards were finished in September. The $1,000 subscription contract with CNET was signed, but Mark only managed to secure $100,000 in bridge financing.